Hi everyone. So for my first evaluation, I decided to review a PowerPoint that I created for a unit I'm going to be doing with my preschoolers. In a couple of weeks, we do a 6-week study on different types of buildings. So I decided to make a PowerPoint to kind of see like what the accessibility settings in PowerPoint are. I've never used PowerPoint in terms of like thinking about it as an accessible point of view. So um, starting out with the online accessibility handbook, um, to see the order of the slide, you can tab through the slide, um, and the corresponding element will highlight. So it's really cool because the accessibility thing is right up top. I had no idea that existed, and you can click on the slide and it tells you what order. So I put numbers on the slide, so if there's a student with, like, say I have to have the slides translated to Braille or the student can't see, um, they can hear and say, all right, we're on slide 2. Or if they're hearing or if they're sight impaired and need the slides close up to them, they can see, okay, we're on slide 2. And I used bullets or lists. So for the wrapping it up section of my PowerPoint, I put a 1 and a 2 so that they knew, like, the first question, um, can you name a type of building you live in? And what kinds of buildings do you see on your way to school? The students could either verbally tell me or list it out or screen record themselves telling me. Use in the online accessibility handbook, it says use color contrast between text and background color. I used a blue background with white text because it stands out really well. Um, it was also very helpful that there was an accessibility guide built right into PowerPoint, and it kind of walks you through. So it tells you the reading order when you're in presentation mode for accessibility. It'll tell you the order it will read the slide. So for the Rice reading, um, discussing the UDL principles in the Rice reading, the PowerPoint can provide multiple means of representation by presenting information in different ways. Um, provide multiple means of expressing understanding by differentiating the ways they know and understand, and provide means of engagement by stimulating interest and learning. So the PowerPoint is a great way to do this because you can differentiate it by splitting the class up, doing small groups, asking what building is this. You can screen record yourself doing the presentation if that makes it easier for a student. You can also have the student be watching the PowerPoint on their own for building 1. And also, 2, there are um, text descriptions of the photos. So if the child is sight impaired or vision impaired, they'll get a verbal description of what the picture of the house looks like, and they can raise their hand and say house. In the Rice reading, it is explained that teachers should make things accessible for students in various ways, with some of the ways being listed as allowing parents or classmates to write for the students or printing presentations for class notes. Um, you can print out a PowerPoint presentation extremely easily for a child if they need it. You can also send it to them so they can view it on their personal device, or you could also have a parent or a classmate read it to them. Um, and then they talked about measurable goals on page 216 in the Rice reading, making sure the students' needs are being met while also being involved. Students can be involved in class discussions about PowerPoint, with the PowerPoint by either having a printout of the presentation, like I said, or on their own screen for visual and audio purposes. And again, you can have the PowerPoint reading to the child, or you can present it as a whole group. Some of the challenges, students not being able to see the photos could be a struggle. And the text descriptions of the photos can only do so much, especially if the text reading program is not working properly. So if you had glitches in the program or it wasn't work, you can only describe a house a certain amount, or say like a skyscraper or a school, or a post office or like apartment buildings. Like some students might not know what apartments look like, or apartments might look different to somebody else. Working with pre-K, it's really hard to utilize PowerPoints. We don't have a projector. Um, and most of my students can't read yet, so that's why I chose pictures, because I'm used to working with visual aids with students. So I kind of had to warp my sense of thinking to think how could they audibly describe it so that the students would understand what was going on if there's a visual or auditory delay. So yeah, that is my presentation number 1 for my PowerPoint.